Incredible moment. Cleaning lady reveals hidden heroism in protecting a millionaire's daughter. Clara stood in the sweeping foyer of the Davenport mansion, a world of polished marble and gleaming chandeliers surrounding her. Today was no ordinary day. The air crackled with an energy she couldn't quite explain. She tightened her grip on the broom, thinking about Leo, her teenage son who depended on her. Her heart ached with the loss of her husband, but Clara's spirit burned bright. She was determined to provide for Leo, to make sure they stayed afloat amidst their struggles. As she cleaned under the staircase, her thoughts wandered to the way Charles Davenport, the millionaire homeowner, often overlooked her. He had a way of dismissing her like she was invisible, while his world sparkled with wealth. But as she stripped away the dust from the opulence around her, Clara felt a surge of pride. She earned every penny in this house. Then the atmosphere shifted. A loud crash echoed through the home like a clap of thunder. Clara's heart raced. She froze, her breath caught in her throat. The door swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadow and menace, an intruder breaking through the fortress of glass and gold. In that moment, Clara's instinct kicked in. Emily, Charles's daughter, was home alone. The fear on her face pierced Clara's heart. Without thinking, she propelled herself into action. "Emily, hide," she whispered urgently. Clara lunged towards the kitchen, grabbing a heavy frying pan. Was she really going to confront this man? Her heart pounded like a drum in her chest, but she couldn't stand by and let harm come to that girl. Time slowed. The intruder, a scruffy figure, stalked through the lavish rooms, casting dark shadows against the opulent decor. Clara's mind raced. She had to protect Emily. "I won't let you hurt anyone," she shouted, the words surprising both her and the intruder. Adrenaline surged through her veins as she brandished the pan like a sword. The man turned, eyes wide in disbelief, and for a moment, all was still. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The tension crackled in the air, and just like that, Clara charged forward. The kitchen light glinting off her makeshift weapon gave her a newfound courage. The intruder hesitated, thrown off balance. Clara swung the pan, her heart in her throat as it connected with the man's shoulder. He cursed, stumbling back. Suddenly, sirens howled outside, and the thrill of victory mingled dangerously with fear. Clara had done it. The intruder fled, and behind her, she could feel Emily's gaze, filled with relief and gratitude. But as the police arrived and the chaos settled, Clara couldn't shake the anxiety creeping back in. Days passed, and soon newspaper headlines blared Clara's act of bravery. But not all responses were celebratory. Whispers among the Davenport's affluent neighbors painted her as a meddler, someone who overstepped. As Clara faced their disdain, the weight of her struggles grew heavier. Leo was apprehensive, their bond shifting and steeped in unspoken tension. One evening, Clara mustered the strength to confront Charles Davenport himself. "You think less of me, don't you?" she asked, her voice trembling with hurt. Their conversation unveiled the prejudice woven through their worlds, where he saw a cleaner, while she fought with every fiber of her being. As truth spilled between them, the unexpected happened. Emily stepped forward, inspired by Clara's courage and resolve. The lines of privilege began to blur, and a new connection sparked. But change breeds challenges. Clara's heart was heavy, knowing the battle for acceptance had only just begun. Reflecting on her journey, Clara pondered the real meaning of heroism. Would the community rally behind her and Emily, or would old prejudices latch tight? Clara, standing before a mirror of uncertainty, sensed a new chapter was about to unfold, a chapter laden with hope, fear, and the deep promise of healing across their divided worlds. Would they rise together, or would the barriers hold strong? Clara stood at the threshold of change, the weight of uncertainty heavy on her shoulders. The days following the incident were a blur of tension and whispers. People in the neighborhood would glance her way, some with admiration, most with skepticism. How would she navigate this new reality? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the mansion, Clara found herself dusting the large, ornate dining table. The room felt emptier than usual. She could hear the faint murmur of conversation coming from the living room, where Emily and Charles had gathered with guests. It was a stark reminder of the divide between her world and theirs. She paused, the feather duster resting limply in her hand. "Do you need anything, Mrs. Davenport?" Clara called out tentatively, half hoping to be invited in, but mostly dreading rejection. "Just a moment, Clara," Emily responded, her voice bright. Moments later, the door creaked open, and Emily appeared, her eyes shining with a mix of bravery and newfound determination. "Would you join us? We could use your perspective." Clara hesitated. This felt like a long leap, one she wasn't sure she was ready to take. Emily was extending a lifeline, but Clara struggled with the impulse to keep her distance. Finally, she stepped forward. "Okay, I'll be there in a moment." As she walked into the room, Clara found herself surrounded by familiar faces, neighbors who had whispered behind closed doors. The atmosphere felt tense as they turned to her, a mixture of curiosity and judgment in their eyes. "Thank you for coming, Clara," Charles said, his voice steady but his gaze revealing an inner turmoil. "We need to talk about what happened. It's about more than just you and Emily." Clara's heart raced as she settled onto a chair, feeling exposed. "What do you mean?" "It's about changes in our community," Charles continued, his hands resting on the table, his posture earnest. "We need to do better to ensure our neighborhoods are safe for everyone. Your bravery, it can inspire others." The room was silent. Clara could feel the weight of their stares. She swallowed hard, her doubts clawing at her. Was there really a path forward? A sudden burst of hope ignited within her. "If we are going to make changes, it has to come from all of us," she replied, her voice soft yet firm. "Can't just be about me. We need to involve everyone, give a voice back to those who feel unheard." "Exactly," Emily chimed in, her enthusiasm contagious. "We can organize community meetings, share our experiences, and encourage everyone to participate." The ideas unfolded like a tapestry as Clara spoke, her heart swelling with each suggestion. For the first time, she could see a light, a way to bridge their worlds, to combat the whispers that sought to divide them. But as the conversation grew lively, Clara caught glimpses of doubt on some faces. What if they were just placating her? What if they didn't truly want change at all? A small chill crept back into her heart. "Let us put this plan into action," she urged, her voice cracking slightly. "We can meet tomorrow, and I'll help you contact others in the community." As they discussed details, a sense of unity blossomed, but the doubts still lingered, casting shadows over Clara's newfound hope. Would they follow through, or would the voices of resistance overpower the desire for change? Clara felt that deep uncertainty reverberating in her core as she left the room that night, determined yet terrified of the road ahead. Stepping back into her modest home, Clara turned to Leo, who waited for her news. She took a breath, the weight of her commitment heavy and humbling. "You won't believe what just happened." In that moment of shared anticipation, Clara realized the struggle to bridge their worlds had only just begun. How far would they go in the fight for acceptance? Would the community embrace the change, or would old wounds remain unhealed? She couldn't shake the feeling that the most challenging moments were yet to come. The morning light filtered into Clara's small kitchen, dancing on the worn countertops. It felt like a new day, one filled with promise. Clara poured herself a cup of coffee, steam curling upwards, mixing with the sweet scent of breakfast. But the weight of the previous night's conversation lingered in her mind. The risk she was about to take was as daunting as it was exhilarating. As she sipped her coffee, Leo bounded down the stairs, his usual energy wrapped up in excitement. "What did you tell them, Clara? You seemed so alive last night." His eyes sparkled with curiosity, eager for details. Clara smiled, a warmth rising in her chest. Felt good to have his support. I told them we need to come together. I want everyone to have a voice, Leo. Can't just be about me and my story. It has to be bigger. He nodded, his expression serious for a moment, then brightened again. What's next? When do we start? Today. We're meeting at the park, Clara said, her heart fluttering at the thought of facing their neighbors, a mix of skeptics and supporters. I hope they'll really show up. I just want to change things. Leo pulled his jacket on, a quick nod signaling his approval. Let us go then. I'll help set up the signs. The park was alive when they arrived, children playing, dogs barking, the distant laughter of families enjoying a bright Saturday morning. Clara felt a wave of nerves hit her as she surveyed the space where the meeting would take place. Here, Leo said, carrying a stack of colorful posters. Let us get the word out. With his help, Clara hung the signs encouraging the neighborhood to come join them for an open dialogue. Her own doubts began to fade as she worked. This was more than an event. It was a chance for people to express their concerns, share their stories, and, hopefully, take the first step towards understanding one another better. As the clock ticked closer to the meeting time, Clara glanced around. Some familiar faces appeared in the distance. There was Emily, who waved excitedly, and Charles, a supportive grin on his face. Others followed, and Clara's heart raced with hope, mixed with anxiety. One by one, people came, some hesitant while others carried a fierce determination. Clara stood in front of the small gathering, waiting for everyone to settle. The sun overhead felt warm, even comforting, and she took a deep breath as the murmuring quieted. Thank you all for being here, Clara began, her voice slightly shaky but gaining strength with each word. I believe we all want the same thing. A community where everyone feels safe and heard. My story, it's just one part of a much larger picture. The crowd listened, their faces a canvas of emotions, some nodding while others appeared unsure. Clara felt Leo's presence behind her, like an anchor. I know there are divided opinions and fears, but this is our chance. We can change that. The silence hung thick before someone broke it. But what if nobody listens? What if we try and nothing changes? The question, spoken by a woman Clara recognized, echoed in many hearts. Clara took a moment, her heart racing. I think trying is the first step. I know it feels scary, but we can't remain stagnant if we want progress. Change takes time, but it starts when we all come together. Spirit began to ignite within the group. One by one, people began to share stories of what they cared about, their fears, and their hopes. Clara realized that this was just the beginning, a community in the making. Yet, as they talked, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that not everyone was on board. Several people lingered at the back, their expressions skeptical, their body language closed. She caught a few glances exchanged, whispers that hinted at division still simmering below the surface. What would it take to bring everyone aboard? Clara knew they might be on the brink of something wonderful or watch it slip away. As the meeting wound down, a sense of solidarity lingered in the air, but the undercurrent of doubt troubled her. Would they return for the next meeting? Or had the seeds of change been planted in soil too dry to nurture? Clara felt the weight of the unknown press against her heart. In that moment, she knew her resolve would be tested. But she stood at the start of a journey that could either unite or divide them further, and she was determined to see it through. With her heart pounding, she stepped forward. This isn't the end. We can do this together. I need every one of you to help make it happen. Will you? As she spoke, Clara realized they were at a critical crossroads where hope clashed with doubt, and the fight for a united community was only beginning. The murmurs in the crowd shifted like a restless sea. Clara could feel the energy pulsing around her. Some joined in the growing enthusiasm, while others stayed guarded, their skepticism like a heavy fog. She took a deep breath, the warmth of the sun on her face readying her for whatever came next. All right, everyone, she said, trying to harness the collective focus. Who else wants to share? Your stories matter. It was a young man, Noah, who finally broke the silence. I moved here last year and I want to contribute, but it feels like everyone else just stuck. How do we start? Where do we go from here? His frustration rang true, striking a chord with many in the crowd. Clara felt it tug at her heartstrings. That's a good question, Noah. Change starts with small steps, discussions like this one. If we can identify our common goals, we can tackle problems one by one. She glanced around, urging others to chime in. A hand waved from the back. It belonged to Marissa, a working mother juggling too many responsibilities. But what if they ignore us? The people in charge? Her voice was edged with worry, causing Clara's stomach to tighten painfully. You're right, Marissa, Clara responded gently. It's a real fear, but silent voices have no power. We need to be heard. This is our chance to stand together. She caught Leo's supportive nod from the sidelines, a reminder of who she was doing this for. The uncertainty of whether they were really making a difference loomed in the air like an invisible weight. Yet, there was something electric rising among them too, an undeniable hope. As the meeting progressed, other participants began speaking up, some sharing heart-wrenching experiences of their own. Clara was amazed at how the conversation began to flow. Stories emerged about lost homes, local businesses falling apart, and their dreams for a community built on unity rather than division. It was as if the gathering had become a lifeline, a space where pain found voice and fears were laid bare. Gradually, as people shared, Clara noticed the skeptical group near the back. Their arms crossed, they exchanged glances but seemed less hostile and more contemplative. Was her message beginning to reach them? Suddenly, she spotted a familiar face in the crowd, Anna, the elderly widow who had lived on their street for decades. Clara's heart warmed at the sight of her, and she gestured for her to share. Folks, I've seen this neighborhood change for years. I remember when children played in the streets, and families came together for barbecues. We need to go back to that. Anna's voice was steady, but Clara could see her eyes glisten with the weight of nostalgia. Clara felt a swell of emotion. This was the spirit they needed. Let us host events to bridge our generational gaps. Clara suggested, inspired. Picnics, neighborhood cleanups, town halls, anything to bring us closer together and encourage dialogue. We can't wait for others to act. We must drive this change ourselves. The excitement bubbled over, people nodding, murmurs of agreement spreading. Clara felt the momentum build. Yet in the back of her mind, she worried about those skeptics. As the meeting came to a wrap, Clara realized there was still a long road ahead. Her head swirled with plans, but her heart felt heavy with the responsibility of leading this charge. Could they indeed rally together, or would hidden divisions pull them apart? Let us meet next week to plan our next steps, Clara said as they prepared to leave. We'll need everyone's ideas and energy. Will you commit to come again? The crowd shuffled, and she caught a hesitant cheer from some, but there were still a few distant expressions that twisted in uncertainty. After saying her goodbyes, Clara lingered a bit longer, watching people stream out. She knew she had lit a spark. Did they all feel it? Or was she merely holding their attention for a fleeting moment? Clara, Leo called out, walking up beside her. You did great. We can really do this together. You felt it, didn't you? I hope so, Leo. But I can't shake the feeling that some people are still fighting against us. Just as she finished speaking, she caught sight of an unfamiliar face hovering at the edge of the park, watching intently. Something in the stranger's posture felt uneasy, like a shadow lurking where it didn't belong. As curiosity hung heavy in the air, Clara's heart raced. Who were they, and what impact would they have on her dream of uniting the community? With a shiver running down her spine, Clara knew she needed answers. It wasn't just about community anymore. It was about confronting whatever challenges lay between them. Let us go see who that is, she murmured, glancing at Leo, who looked equally intrigued and cautious. Taking her first step toward the unknown, Clara felt the tides of change rippling around her once again. Clara felt her breath catch as she and Leo approached the stranger. Each step felt heavy, as if the very ground beneath her was a blend of excitement and trepidation. The figure, a woman with a cap pulled low over her brow, glanced their way as they neared. Hi there, Clara ventured, her voice softer than intended. She could see the woman's tense posture. Something about her felt off. "Hello," the woman replied, cautiously lifting her gaze. Clara noted the crinkling around her eyes, traces of a life lived through hardship and perhaps fear. "I'm Clara," she introduced herself, motioning to Leo beside her. "We just had a community meeting, and I couldn't help but notice you standing here. Are you new to the neighborhood?" The woman hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with the fabric of her jacket. "I've lived here longer than some," she muttered, "but I don't get out much." "Why is that?" Leo asked gently, his curiosity piqued. "We're trying to build a sense of community. To support each other." With a heavy sigh, the woman glanced toward the ground, her voice barely above a whisper. "You wouldn't understand. Not everyone wants to come together. They'd rather keep their distance." Clara felt the weight in the air shift. "You'd be surprised," she said earnestly. "We're all working through our own battles. Your voice is important, too." The woman's eyes darted to Clara, as if searching for sincerity. "I'm Tanya," she finally said, relaxing just a fraction. "And I've seen this neighborhood break apart instead of coming together." Clara noticed a passion igniting in her eyes, a flicker of hope that hadn't existed moments before. "My daughter, she goes to school with some of the kids you mentioned. It's not safe anymore." "Safe?" Clara echoed, her heart quickening. "What do you mean?" "They get into trouble. Drugs, fighting, people don't look out for each other anymore. It's every person for themselves. I want to keep her away from all of this. I've had to hide her away." Tanya's voice cracked just a bit, revealing a raw edge of vulnerability beneath her tough exterior. Clara felt a pang of compassion surge within her. "What if we helped? Our group can organize events for kids' safety workshops, mentoring programs. We can create a support system so that families like yours don't feel so isolated." An astonished look crossed Tanya's face, a glimmer of hope peeking through her doubt. "Do you really think it could work?" "I know it can," Clara said, her determination pushing through any fears she had left. "But I need you. You know the struggles here better than most. We need voices like yours at the forefront." Leo stepped forward, his eyes lighting up. "Together we can fight to shift the narrative. It'll take work, but I believe we can make a difference." Tanya appeared torn but intrigued. "I'll think about it," she said slowly, a hint of defiance returning to her stance. "But it won't be easy, and not everyone will want to come along. There's a lot of pain buried here." "But there's hope too," Clara replied, her voice firm. "We've already taken the first step by talking. Let us build on that." Suddenly, a loud commotion erupted from the nearby playground, a group of kids laughing, some shouting while others cried out in frustration. Clara turned instinctively towards the noise, her heart pounding. In the chaos, she spotted a scuffle breaking out. "See?" Tanya said, her voice sharp. "This is exactly what I mean. If we don't do something without thinking." Clara sprinted toward the playground, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She could hear Leo's voice calling after her, but she was already lost in the moment. As she reached the scene, she noticed the divide quickly growing. The onlookers were either cheering on a child or scolding another. What had started as innocent play devolved into a lightning storm of anger and chaos. Clara inhaled deeply, ready to step in. It was time to confront the challenges head-on. "Hey, everyone, stop!" she shouted over the noise, her voice strong. Her heart raced, but she felt something shift. She noticed the children pausing, turning to her, the chaos hanging in the air. Could her voice reach them? Would they listen? As Clara stood at the center of the storm, the very foundation of her dream began to tremble. Change was possible, but it required facing not just their fears, but also the dark truths that lived among them. What awaited her at the heart of this confrontation? Would peace be restored, or would this moment spiral into deeper conflict? In that moment, the world around Clara slowed down. The shouting, the laughter, the cries, they all blended into a cacophony that echoed in her ears. Yet she felt a rare stillness within. She could see the children, their faces caught between excitement and aggression, energy pulsing in their bodies like a thunderstorm ready to break. "Please listen to me," Clara continued, her voice cutting through the noise. What's happening right now isn't who you are. You're all better than this. For a heartbeat, silence fell. The kids' eyes, wide with confusion, flicked between one another. Clara pressed forward, stepping closer, her heart racing as she searched for the right words. You're friends. Remember how you play together, how you laugh. Don't let a moment of anger ruin that. Slowly, a boy named Micah, known for his sharp tongue but also his big heart, stepped forward. But they started it. He shot back, pointing at another child across the dusty sand that marked the playground's territory. Clara knelt, lowering herself to their level. I get that it feels like that right now. But what if we turned this into something good? You could show everyone how strong you are together. Let us just take a breath. Leo joined her side, kneeling as well, his calm presence settling in like a warm hug. We can learn how to talk it out. There could be a competition or a game to settle this. You don't want to hurt each other, right? The children exchanged glances, their expressions wavering. The moment stretched as muted whispers of doubt mixed with curiosity floated through them. And what if we started a club? Clara suggested, feeling the tide begin to shift. A place where you all can hang out, share your ideas, and do fun activities together? How about we plan something exciting? Maybe get a basketball game going or even some art projects. I love art, a girl shouted, breaking through the tension, her face lighting up with possibility. Me too, another piped up, stepping out of the crowd. Can we paint murals on the walls? Clara's heart soared, each positive response building like a wave. Exactly, and you could even teach older kids how to mentor everyone. See how much you can make the neighborhood better? A gathering murmur of agreement rippled through the group. Just then, Clara saw Tanya watching from the edge of the playground, her eyes wide with hope and disbelief. Look, Clara urged the kids, it's not about fighting. It's about standing up for each other and lifting everyone up. We're all in this together. That's what community means. One by one, the kids began to nod, the fists uncurling, the softening of stances. It was small, but it was everything. Clara felt a flicker of something within her. Maybe, just maybe, they were on the brink of change. As the sounds of dissent faded to the background, an unexpected voice broke through. It was one of the parents watching from the sidelines, a man known to be skeptical of community efforts, stepping forward with a frown. You all think this is just going to fix itself? The gaze of the children, along with Leo and Clara, turned to him. Clara felt her heart thud in her chest. Had she gone too far? Was this newfound hope about to shatter? Why don't we demonstrate something strong instead? She said, her voice steady. Why not join together, starting right now? Let us show him how much we care about each other. A heavy silence settled, a crossroads between doubt and unity. Would they take this step together, or would the project of rebuilding their community get lost amidst their fears? Clara looked at Tanya again, searching her face for a hint of belief. Then she turned back to the gathering crowd, determination flooding her chest. They couldn't turn back now. What would it take to unite this neighborhood? And would the adults, like the skeptical parent, be ready to embrace the change as well? The tension hung thick in the air, almost palpable. Clara's heart raced as she faced the skeptical parent, his arms crossed defiantly over his chest. The silence that followed her challenge felt louder than any shout had been just moments before. She wasn't just asking the kids for a show of unity. She was urging them to take a leap of faith. Simon, everybody, Leo chimed in, pushing back against the heaviness of the moment. Let us show him. We can do this. His voice carried warmth, igniting a spark that caught the attention of some of the onlookers. The kids shifted impatiently, exchanging glances and whispering among themselves. Clara watched as Micah turned to his friends, his expression mixing uncertainty with a flicker of determination. You think we can really paint those murals? Make a difference? He asked, his voice low. Of course we can, the girl who loved art replied. If we work together, it will be amazing. Clara felt a swell of hope. Exactly. Art can speak louder than words. Why don't we gather some materials, and let us get started? We can create something beautiful right here. Slowly, the children began to stand taller. One by one, they nodded, a collective agreement swirling like a gentle breeze through the crowd. Clara could see the flicker of enthusiasm reigniting as they began to believe that change was possible. "All right, team," Clara called out, clapping her hands together. "Who wants to help me gather some supplies?" Hands shot up eagerly. Leo shot an encouraging nod at Clara, and she felt a wave of gratitude for his unwavering support. A couple of parents began to approach, drawn by the commotion. Clara noticed Tanya stepping forward, her usual uncertainty replaced with a confident smile. "I'll help organize the art supplies," she declared, her voice brightening the group's spirit further. The skeptical parent shifted uncomfortably, appearing caught off guard by the enthusiastic response. Clara glanced over at him, hoping to see even a hint of softness in his expression. But he remained tense, his doubt hardening his features. "Just because they're excited today doesn't mean it'll last," he said, almost to himself. With a steadiness she didn't quite feel, Clara decided to engage him directly. "Change isn't a one-day event," she said, her voice unwavering. "It's a process, but this is how we start. Together." The man's brow furrowed, but Clara could see the wheels turning in his mind. Maybe he was beginning to understand that community meant joining in not just with enthusiasm but with doubts and support alike. As supplies began to gather, Clara felt the air shift with something new hope. Laughter and chatter filled the playground as the children rediscovered the joy of creativity. A small group of them started sketching out their mural ideas in the sand, giggling and practicing teamwork without realizing it. Clara felt a warmth filling her chest as she watched them. "Look," Leo pointed, laughing as two kids began a playful argument over colors. "Let us keep that energy flowing," Clara called, feeling like a conductor of a joyous symphony. "We need passion in our art." With each passing moment, the skepticism of the parent began to dissolve like morning mist in sunlight. Clara sensed a stirring within the crowd of watching parents too. They began to see the potential for something beautiful in this little neighborhood, ignited by the children. But just as Clara began to breathe a sigh of relief, a motorcycle revving loudly cut through the cheerful sounds. The children turned to see a figure approaching, the glint of a badge catching the sunlight. Clara's stomach dropped. This wasn't just any adult, it was the city's councilman. Known for his strict views on community gatherings, an anxious hush fell over the playground as the councilman dismounted and approached. A look of curiosity mingled with authority on his face. Clara's heart raced. Would he see the promise in what they were all trying to build? Or was this the moment everything would come crashing down? Clara held her breath as the councilman made his way toward them, the children's laughter fading into a muted whisper. She could almost hear the wheels in the minds of the watching parents turning, each of them wondering what the councilman would say. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice firm but not unkind. Clara stepped forward, feeling a mix of urgency and resolve wash over her. "We're working on a community art project," she explained, her voice steady but tinged with the faintest tremor. "The kids want to create murals that reflect our neighborhood's spirit and dreams." The councilman scanned the playground, taking in the smudged faces of excited children who stood proudly next to their half-finished sketches. For a moment, Clara thought she saw the tiniest flicker of surprise cross his face, but it quickly vanished. "Art is great and all," he replied, crossing his arms as if bracing himself against the strength of their enthusiasm. "But you know that these kinds of projects can get out of hand. Liability issues, noise complaints." Clara's heart sank, despair creeping in. Didn't he see? The murals were more than just paint. They were voices shouting to be heard. They were a chance for the kids to express their hopes instead of their fears. "Sir," Leo interjected, stepping up beside Clara with the confidence of someone who had just discovered he could fly. "This is important to us. We're doing this to build something. It's not just art, it's our way of saying we care." The councilman frowned, clearly taken aback by the fervor in Leo's voice. Clara could sense the tug of something shifting in the air, a spark of potential, but would he allow them to continue? "Look," Clara pressed on, feeling the warmth of the crowd behind her. We want to bring positivity to this community. The kids just want to draw their dreams. For a moment, the tension between the councilman and Clara felt electric, charged with the possibilities of connection. The colored chalk in the kid's hands was like a bridge extending toward him, an invitation wrapped in vivid hues. The councilman took a breath, the lines on his face softening just a bit. Dreams are fine, but you need to follow the rules. Yes, we will. Tanya piped up, her eyes sparkling with determination. We can have some guidelines, but art is our language. We can talk to you about any concerns. There was a flicker of something in the councilman's eyes, a chink in his armor of authority. Clara felt the hopeful pull of the moment, like the tension in a rubber band just before it snapped. But then he glanced around at the other parents, gauging their reactions, and Clara feared he might back down. Before he could speak again, Clara stepped even closer, her heart thumping like a bass drum in her ears. Please let us show you. Let us show everyone what we can do. If you believe in us, believe. The councilman interrupted, incredulous. You all are just kids. How can that change anything? In that instant, Clara saw Micah's face fall at the councilman's words, a glimmer of defeat clouding his spirit. She couldn't let that happen. Not now. Sometimes, the smallest voices have the biggest impact, she said softly, letting the whispers of encouragement from the crowd wash over her in a wave of support. We just need someone to listen to help us speak louder together. Time seemed to freeze as the councilman stood there, processing her words. Clara could feel all the hope and anticipation in the air, waiting for his response. But then, just as she thought she saw acceptance flicker in his expression, a loud beeping interrupted the moment. Clara turned to see a city maintenance truck pull up, its workers eyeing the scene warily. The energy shifted again, this time into something darker, fear creeping back in. Would the councilman side with the city's rules or finally understand the power of the children's voices? Clara held her breath, waiting. This was the moment when everything could either change or slip through her fingers. Would they gather the courage to continue? Or was it time to prepare for a fight for their dreams? The truck rumbled to a halt, breaking the fragile stillness hanging in the air. Clara's heart raced as she watched the workers emerge, their expressions a mix of curiosity and annoyance. She felt the collective anxiety of the crowd tighten like a knot in her stomach. This was not the distraction they needed. The councilman shifted his weight, eyes darting between Clara and the approaching crew. What is this about? He asked, his tone darkening. Oh, Leo whispered, taking a step back. The children instinctively moved closer together, their playful confidence dissipating into uncertainty. Clara could feel the weight of their hopes resting heavily now, like a fragile thread ready to snap. One of the workers, a burly man with grease-stained jeans and a hard hat, approached the councilman, calmly flipping open a clipboard. We received a noise complaint about some kids saying they want to paint over here. Just wanted to check it out. The councilman straightened up, glancing at Clara with a look that felt like a silent accusation. See? This is what I'm talking about. Rules. We can't have disorder. Clara took a deep breath, summoning all her strength. But we're not causing disorder. We're trying to create beauty. Her voice wavered. The growing doubt in her mind threatened to drown out her resolve. Suddenly, Micah piped up, stepping forward, his small frame trembling with determination. We just want to make the neighborhood better. Art is important. The passion in his voice was genuine and raw, igniting unspoken courage in the hearts of those gathered around. Clara could feel the air shift again, this time tinged with solidarity. The councilman hesitated, staring at Micah with a mixture of disbelief and something that resembled concern. But this could lead to more complaints and more issues. But what about the joy it brings? Tanya shot back, eyes wide and shimmering. What if it inspires people? Don't you want that? Around her, the other children nodded in agreement, their youthful faces illuminated with fierce hope. Clara watched as their united spirit flickered a light in the gathering gloom. If nobody listens to us, Leo said, then we'll never have a voice. Don't you want to hear us? The councilman's expression softened momentarily, but it was fleeting. Just as Clara thought he might cave, The burly worker interrupted with a laugh, attempting to lighten the mood. Who knew I'd have to settle a mural dispute today? But Clara didn't want laughter. She needed action. Please, she blurted, suddenly finding her voice again as she stepped closer to the councilman. Heart pounding. We want to paint our dreams. You could be a part of this. Help us make it happen rather than shut us down. Just give us a chance. The crowd held its breath, faces expectant, hearts pounding in unison. For a moment, even the councilman fell silent, and Clara felt the weight of so many eyes peering into his soul, urging him to take the leap before he could respond. The maintenance workers exchanged glances, one of them rolling his eyes at the councilman's indecision. Kids have a good point. Sometimes art brings a community together. Clara sensed the small shift, the beginnings of a breakthrough in that moment as the councilman faced the workers, then back at the kids. But before he could make up his mind, a shrill ringing cut through the tension, signaling an incoming text. Everyone turned to the councilman, who pulled out his phone, eyes widening. I have to take this. As he walked away, Clara's heart plummeted. She could sense the storm gathering again, the prospects of their dreams slipping away. Did we just lose our chance? Micah whispered, voice trembling. No, not yet, Clara replied, her spirit ignited by fear and determination both. This isn't over. She glanced around at the eager faces, each filled with hope and passion. Somewhere in her something ignited. They would fight for this. They must. Okay, everyone, let us show him what we can do, she urged, rallying them. We have to make this real. We can paint. We have to keep trying. As the kids scrambled back to their art supplies, Clara caught a glimpse of the councilman retreating toward the truck with a furrowed brow, uncertainty still lingering in his posture. But something nagged at her, a feeling that this wasn't just about murals anymore. Clara, what if he calls security? Tanya asked, chewing her lip. Then we'll show them the power of our voices, Clara said fiercely, a spark igniting in her chest. They were ready to battle for their dreams. But the real question gnawed at her. How far would they have to go to make a difference? As the children set to work, laughter mixed with nervous energy filled the air. Clara couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was looming ahead, something that might change everything. Would they find their voice? Or would they face the storm looming closer than ever? The tension soared, and the lines in the sand began to blur. Clara stood in the midst of the playground chaos, her heart thumping wildly. She watched as the kids, fueled by hope and enthusiasm, began to draw upon the concrete slabs, their colors dancing in the sun. Laughter echoed, cutting through the tension, and Clara was determined not to let that joy be overshadowed by fear. Hey, she shouted, beckoning to the children who were still hesitant. You're bringing beauty to our world. Let us show everyone exactly what we can create together. With that, they rallied, pushing themselves to draw bright suns, tall trees, and vivid rainbows, each stroke a testament to their dreams. Clara marveled at how art could transform their fears into something spectacular, something worth fighting for. Behind her, she sensed the councilman returning, his expression harder than ever. What's going on here? He barked, a faint edge of authority creeping into his voice. Clara stepped forward, chin up, resolute. We're creating a mural, sir. A symbol of our community united, something to show that we care. Her voice rang with determination, and she felt her pulse quicken, adrenaline coursing through her. This is more than art. It's a message. But instead of the applause she hoped for, the councilman frowned, crossing his arms again. You're drawing attention, but that also draws complaints. You really believe you can change everything with some paint? The children paused, looking to Clara for guidance. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their eyes on her. She needed to rally their spirits again, to remind them of what they were doing. Yes, we can, Clara exclaimed. Art can open doors. It can start conversations. It makes us visible. Nearby parents began to murmur in agreement, leaning in to listen. Clara felt that surge of hope again. Perhaps they were finally breaking through. Tanya stepped up, breaking the ice of hesitation. We're not backing down. Not anymore. This represents all of us, the struggles, the hopes, and the fight for a better tomorrow. Don't we all want a safe place for our kids to thrive? Yes. Came a shout from the back, and Clara recognized it as Marissa, her voice loud with passion. This isn't just about art, it's about belonging. We want a community that cares. The councilman shifted uncomfortably, glancing from face to face. Clara could feel the air sizzle with possibility. Other parents began to step forward, adding their voices to the swell of support. This was no longer just Clara's fight. It was theirs too. Let them paint. One neighbor shouted. Let them speak. Another echoed, and soon the grounds were buzzing with determination that felt akin to magic. Feeling the fabric of unity in the air, Clara's heart swelled. Let us organize a neighborhood celebration, an art day. Everyone can contribute. Adults, kids, all of us. We can turn this place into a colorful reminder of community spirit. She turned to the councilman, hoping to see a shift. Please allow us this chance. We want to work with you, not against you. There was silence as he weighed their words. Slowly, Clara could see his stern facade cracking. The glint of uncertainty shone in his eyes. It was a moment pregnant with potential. All right, he finally said, a bit unsure, but clear in his intent. I can help facilitate some permits for your art project. If you promise to keep it safe and organized. His voice trailed off, still cautious. But Clara's heart soared. This was it. Oh, thank you, Clara exclaimed, relief flooding through her. We will. We're committed to making this work. Amidst the cheer, she spotted Leo grinning in pride, and that bolstered her conviction. They were on the brink of change. Together, as the councilman walked away, the crowd erupted into cheers. Clara couldn't contain her happiness. It flowed out as laughter and hugs. They had faced doubt and emerged victorious, the first step toward building the community they all deserved. Days turned into weeks, and the mural blossomed like spring flowers across the walls of the playground. Clara watched as kids from all backgrounds came together, painting not just their dreams but their stories. Neighbors who once barely exchanged nods were now laughing and working side by side, each stroke of color building towards a new beginning, and Clara, once a cleaning lady perceived as invisible, became a beacon of hope and strength. With each swing of a brush, she realized that she wasn't just transforming the neighborhood, she was transforming herself. Standing back to appreciate their work one afternoon, Clara felt a wave of contentment wash over her, her heart full of joy. Leo nudged her with a smile. You did it, Mom. Look at everyone coming together. Yes, sweetheart, Clara said, tears of gratitude brimming in her eyes as she took in the scene. We did it together. The shadows of division had receded, and Clara finally understood the true essence of community. It was about resilience, connection, and the bravery to rise together despite all odds. As the last hues of sunset washed over the playground, Clara knew they had only just begun. Together, they would continue to inspire change one brush stroke at a time. And with that, Clara looked at Leo, her face beaming with pride. This was home. Now it's your turn to become a part of our community. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and transform lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters more than you know. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about this incredible journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support and spread the love. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your voice is vital.